I think that it can be tough because obviously the endorsement world is very backwards. When you are doing well enough and you're successful enough to be able to afford all the gear you want, you get everything for free. When you're just starting out and you're gigging and you're snapping sticks, and every time you break a stick, it's another $7, and every time you crack a cymbal, you freak out because you're like, oh, that's 45 hours of work at my job to replace that ride cymbal.
True.
That's when you get nothing. And so I'm not willing to donate all of my endorsements to struggling drummers, but I do think, as someone that went through both sides of it, I do think it is a little backwards. But that being said, yeah, there's just something, it depends on why you're doing what you're doing. If you're doing whatever you have to do to play, and you're like, look, yeah, I'd rather play Zildjian, but I'm going to take the free Sabians or the discounted Sabians because I'm breaking too many cymbals and I can't afford it. I get it.
Yeah.
If you are trying to build trust long term, which is what I'm trying to do for sure, because I want people to eventually trust me enough to pay for education with me, then you have to just play what you love. And you have to, and if you do move, I moved from DW to Gretsch, and I moved from Paiste to Meinl.
Yeah.
When you move, you have to be willing to stare down the barrel of a camera lens and tell your followers and your fans, why'd you move? What happened? And it's a tough thing because I've never had a situation where I had a bad relationship. So it's with Paiste, it was very simple. Paiste was amazing, loved their stuff, but they definitely go for something. They're trying to create a sound, and there was an evolution of my playing where that sound didn't match up with where I was going. And at the time, a decade ago, Meinl was going in the direction of art. They were making these trashy cymbals that no one was making, these kind of dirty, nasty cymbals, and they were just trying so many things to give the drummer a unique voice. And I was struggling to find my voice, so that was extremely appealing to me. With DW, it was, you definitely can't fault DW on quality. It was like, well, these are amazing. These are the greatest drums. I was with DW for 14 years, so I can tell you from being in their factory, no one is obsessed with quality as much as DW. So it was never something like that. It was that DW was the sound of my band. It was attached to, I always say, like, when your name is followed by the word from, like Mike Johnston from Simon Says, that's what DW represented to me at the time. I was like, oh, well, that's who I was then. I just need a fresh start. And I also wanted something that was tied to history. That meant a lot to me. Like, I love looking at my drums or walking into the studio, seeing that Gretsch logo and immediately thinking of, Max Roach or, Tony Williams or Art Blakey, all that stuff. And so really at the time that I moved to Gretsch, Rogers was gone, Slingerland was gone. So all that was left was Ludwig and Gretsch. And, my idol Phil Collins played Gretsch, so it just made the most sense. So I think you can move companies. You just have to be able to be willing to tell people the reason why. Yeah. And then when that happens, you also have to just be willing to hang in there for the long term. Your company, whoever it is, let's say it's cymbals, if it's Meinl or Zildjian or Paiste, Sabian, each one of them is going to have their moment of time to shine because of their artists. At some point, Sabian will just happen to have the cool roster, and all of a sudden, everyone's like, "Oh, Sabian." I remember, like, in F1, Aston Martin did decently well for one race, and all of a sudden, I was like on Auto Trader, like, Astons are kind of nice. It's like, but nothing happened. They haven't changed their company at all. Like, it was just the two guys wearing their jumpsuits did well for once. And I was like, oh, so that happens a lot of times. So you have to be okay with, like, okay, you are on the cool company. You guys are getting all the coverage. It's cool to be an artist of this company. And then at some point, there's somewhere cooler to be. You got to be okay with that and let that happen and not feel like you have to jump ship.